Thank you so much for joining us on a brand new episode of 420 grams. भाई आज पहला दिन है, बड़ा दिन है यहाँ पे क्योंकि विमेंस वर्ल्ड कप का पहला दिन है, भारत में हो रहा है और भारत की महिला टीम खेली है। रिजल्ट के बारे में अभी नहीं बात करेंगे, नहीं तो आप शो बंद करके अभी के अभी चले जाओगे। भाई हम बातचीत करेंगे आज पूरे दिन की, भारत के मुकाबले के बारे में, ब्राजील के मुकाबले के बारे में, चिले के मुकाबले के बारे में। और दोज ऑफ यू हु थिंक वी नॉट डेडिकेटेड इनफ, मैं ना ऋषिकेश में बैठा हूँ किसी रिजॉर्ट में, और अभी कहाँ बैठा हूँ ताकि मुझे लाइट मिले, ऑडियो मिले, वाईफाई अच्छा मिले। वो ना रिजॉर्ट्स में नहीं होता, वो आउटडोर कैंपिंग वैम्पिंग, किसी को करना है, टेंट खरीदना है, किसी को राफ्टिंग करनी है, उसने टेबल बनाई होती है, मैं उसके टेबल पे बैठा हुआ हूँ। तो लोगों को लग रहा है कि मैं यहाँ पे आउटडोर वाला बंदा हूँ। नहीं नहीं, राफ्टिंग 75,000 रुपये, क्योंकि मैं आ रहा हूँ आपके साथ राफ्ट पे। मजाक कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, लेकिन थोड़ी मजाक तो करनी पड़ेगी भाई। 8 गोल खाए हैं यहाँ पे भारतीय टीम ने। हंसी मजाक तो चलती रहेगा हमारे शो पे, लेकिन ये देखिए मेरा भाई सिद्धांत एनी आया हुआ है और उनके साथ शारदा उग्रस विद अस, who had asked us this question, where is 420 grams? हमने बोला था कि वो गुफा में फंसे में हैं। आप भी उस गुफा से निकल के आ गए। गुड टू सी यू शारदा।
Hi. Thanks so much. But what a day, what a result. Like great somber thoughts and many reflections on watching 8 goals being scored against our under 17 team. Yeah, good to be back in the sense. I noticed that both you guys, immediately the moment the Kerala Blasters fan said, "Where is 420 grams?" There it was. It climbed its way out of uh, it's a crevice, yeah. It was not a cave, it was a
Crevice,
crevice inside
yes.
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
very dark place, but I'm happy to see that you returned with full energy.
All we needed
And
was a pat on the back. We're emotional men. That's all. Don't go by
Kerala
appearances.
Blasters, क्या आपको? You get a
also,
puppet eye.
Sharda, unlike the global north, we hibernate in the summertime.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, but bhai, a big day from an Indian football perspective. We always knew this game was never about the result. Um, we kind of never expected it to go to a 7-8 nil, because we had got accustomed to seeing India play the USA in the men's or in the boys event, and I think it was a 3-0 or a 4-0 there. But an 8-0, थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही झटका पड़ा है भाई on day one for these girls.
I think jhatka nahi pada hai. I think it's a very good reflection of how far, really, I mean,
सर,
I'm
पर आप
making
वो
jokes
आप देख रहे
about
हो सर,
the global
वो
north
आप देख
aside.
रहे हो
नहीं नहीं,
सर,
एक
उन
मिनट.
लड़कियों का सोचो जो खेली हैं अभी मैच, मैं तो
हाँ
उनकी
नहीं,
बात
वो
करता हूँ।
that
आठ
that
जीरो
part that part of it we'll get to show. But like, if you just look at the sort of historical and social and economic factors that have gone into the differences that exist on the pitch, it's evident, right? The difference in the physicality, the difference in the training, the difference in all of the things that go into making a team play at a World Cup stage. So it's a really accurate, actually, jokes apart, all of that, an accurate representation of I think why these World Cups are important is that people from all kinds of uh, countries, all kinds of histories, all kinds of stages of development come together, and you see, like Sharda was saying when we were talking earlier in the day, many languages of football. But it also reflects many other things that are happening in the world and our realities in which all of this thing is operating, right? So we've had generations of malnutrition, and it reflects what you're pointing out, the difference in what happened when the boys under 17 World Cup happened and when the girls is happening, right? That boys, even though overall as a society maybe we were behind, boys still got the better parts of what was available, right? So they are so girls today are that much further behind in terms of physical development and just basic nutrition levels. And these are realities that exist in India, and that's why it's so important that these tournaments are happening, because we get a chance to also talk about all these factors, right? And I mean, so that said, uh, it's heartbreaking for them, and I think the amazing part of watching this 90 minutes or so of football was to see that on their faces there was never a sense of despondency. The girls who were playing, they played fearlessly, which is great, and I think all teams from India now across age
fearless
groups.
का मतलब क्या होता है जी आपका कि आप पीछे नहीं खेल रहे आप सब 11
नहीं
11 पीछे नहीं आ गए मतलब क्या आपका fearless
नहीं मतलब you're okay to go into challenges. You understand that there's a physical difference between you and your opponent, but you're not still you're willing to get into it, right? It's a contact sport. It's a hard sport to play when everyone in front of you is much bigger than you are. We all know this at our own levels. And हम सबने 8 goal again at whatever levels खाए हैं, whether it's the senior men's national team or any level of football that you've played, you end up sometimes on a team where you ship 7 8 goals, and it's never fun, no doubt, but it's part of the, I think, learning. And yeah, it's been an interesting day of football.
And
भाई
Arjun,
मैं हाँ जी
before I
सॉरी
can just,
शायद
I'll just jump in only here. So Siddhanth has mostly said a lot of what had to be said about the game. आप एक चीज और याद रखिए कि women's sport, women's non-cricket, shall we call it, in India has not been badly served. Huh? Think of the hockey girls. Right now, the hockey girls match in comparison to all the other hockey international hockey players. They accept that in the Indian women's hockey team, ka body size, weight, or muscle, whatever, is 20 to 30% less than everybody else, and still they compete. Why do they compete? It's not a perfect program, but a program exists. The women's hockey team has an existence and a life that is outside of this one competition for which this girls under 17 team has been created, right? So wo yaad rakhna chahiye ki this is the thing. And when the whole AIFF ka that jhamela was happening, this was, yaar ye to hona hai, yaar ye to hamara flagship event hai, yaar prime minister has said it about it and it has been announced and home minister is talking, we should have it. And what again, the athlete was never the center of the story. वो center of the story कब बनेंगे? आज जब उनको मैच खेलना होता है, you know. And with all the other things that Siddhanth was talking about, I was just thinking of, I love to watch them play. I love to see, like, fit rahe the, but they were playing. You could see that it was a standard at which they could not comprehend at the scale. They played these practice games overseas and everything, but this was the big stage and they were getting beaten very badly. And the point is that they stayed there in the sense of there wasn't too many sort of rondut kind of face or sadness or that kind of thing was not there. But I was just thinking कि इनके जो parents होंगे उनको क्या कहा जाएगा आज शाम को by all this mohalla and their biradari and all that other
exactly
jazz.
yes very nice
यार
point
उनको क्या होने वाला है? You know, my heart was just breaking thinking about that and wanting to be there and to take out my chappal and fight with all those people. But you know, that's what the thing is
but
that
can I give you an
uh,
example in school Siddhant will know of a school because we both Dehradun boys who studied here. There was a school called RIMC, Rashtriya
In
Indian
Delhi also
Military.
there was one called Government Boys Motibag.
नहीं अच्छा बाहर ना जाओ पहले पोल कहीं और खोल रहा हूँ मैंने देहरादून में पोल खोल रहा हूँ हम लोग यहाँ पे टीम लेके गए वी लॉस्ट 12-0 शारदा my father who has never said a word to me about going out and playing who has never said a word to me about trying to make it as a player क्या होगा वो होगा never not the type of guy that was the only time in my life he said 12-0 are you sure you want to play that was my father you know so I'm just saying that's a really good point you brought out there because 8-0 भाई आप मुझे इग्नोर कर रहे थे वहां पे पर ये सब छोड़ दो आप ये जो सोसाइटी मैल न्यूट्रिशन ये सब छोड़ दो अभी जो 11 14 जितने भी खेले होंगे फील्ड पे अभी उनको कैसा लग रहा हो वो एक सपने के साथ आए और सपना फटा है बहुत बुरी तरह फटा है क्योंकि उनके सपनों में भी उन्होंने ये नहीं सोचा होगा कि 8-0 से कोई मारेगा हालांकि रियलिटी चाहे जो भी हो वो थोड़ा धक्का तो पड़ा होगा ना उनको अभी बहुत सॉलिड धक्का
Yeah,
पड़ा
no
होगा
doubt.
अभी
Yeah,
and on top of it
absolutely.
and everything, these are girls, right? At the back of the food chain and the back of the security and whatever all the other social things that exist, these are girls who have broken 35,000 barriers and 172,000 doors to just reach the field to play and practice. So that is the thing that is so difficult to come to terms with. और एक और चीज very interesting in the Winter Olympics,
just
Morocco.
very quickly, Sharda,
Morocco.
हाँ,
Morocco has played a game today and lost 1-0 to Brazil.
yeah.
Okay, 1-0 only. Morocco. They are not the Vishwa
First
of the
time.
world. We are. Yeah, exactly. First time. They are not the African champions. They have come. So and this is women's football in Morocco has done well enough to send their team to an under-17 World Cup. What are they doing right that we cannot do with all the tam jam that we have got?
Well, yeah, for the
They have a
second part of it,
footballing
I was looking
culture.
at the
They have a
Morocco
footballing
team
culture to
list,
look up
and
to.
We also have footballing culture. These are girls. These are
No,
Muslim
no, no.
girls in
No,
Morocco.
but there's nowhere
so
close to
so
the footballing culture that we have in up Morocco normal men's team को अगर आप देखो Moroccan league को अगर आप देखो you see the
Yeah.
basic thing that there is something to look up to. There is something you speaking about you're growing up, you know, कट मेरे ख्याल से यहाँ पे इतनी लड़कियां होंगी वो जानते भी नहीं होंगी या जानती होंगी थोड़ा बहुत जानती होंगी. There's no
yeah.
real culture to look up to. या
There
society
are
में अगर आप खेल रहे
there are many
regularly.
other sports in India that I think girls have been encouraged far more to play. Basketball, athletics. You look at a state like Kerala where football culture exists, where club culture exists, even there, and they say that like it's simply a factor of there are so many boys playing कि ground कभी मिलता ही नहीं खेलने के लिए, and you know अब तो things are changing, but back in the day. The sort of thing was like you're playing like a girl, and therefore the attitude was not to include women in games that were happening necessarily, or girls, but to and also of course other things. But uh, one thing about Morocco is that I think I was looking at the team sheets and all of that, and a lot of their players I think come from the diaspora, so they have the opportunity to play at clubs in Europe and things like that. So I'm not sure if it accurately reflects how strong the Moroccan women's setup is. But I think for many countries, it's in common. Unlike the US, for example, right, where from 94 or before 94, when they were awarded the World Cup in 94, तभी से बनना, infrastructure करना, all this structure, whether it's school level, collegiate level, and then club level, of course, they are in that sense, as far as at least the West is concerned, they're leading the way, and you can see that at every I think age group level team that the US puts up at a World Cup. Yeah, so
And this is 94, so it's not that long ago, you know.
no.
Not that long ago.
Yeah.
Is
So with time and with sort of also maybe how stages of physical development work. I don't know. We should probably have like doctors in this conversation, but like if you look at the senior women's team and how they have kind of performed and grown right over the course of the exposure that they've received, because some of them are physically, you know, comparable, and like it doesn't matter maybe that much at that level. Of course, not near the stage where the US women's team would be, or China, or Japan, or whatever. But the difference isn't an 8 goal difference, I would say. So unlike the boys, where it's reverse, where at the junior age groups we are more competitive, and as we get senior, we kind of lose that edge because again, there's no structure in place. There's not enough training going on in scientific ways. So वो senior से junior वाला transition मुश्किल होता है. I think for the girls' game, a key difference is that at a junior level, perhaps because of many reasons, competing is much harder. But as you get more time in the game, you develop in all aspects of it, and you eventually become. And I think some young girls who are now already playing senior, I mean 19, 20, 21, Manisha Kalyan, so many of these girls, women, are really competitive, man. They are signing now for clubs that potentially are going to be playing Champions League football in Europe. So that's the best competition in the world. So you're playing against the best in the world in that sense, which is huge. So
Hey,
yeah,
for the benefit of the people watching, did you gauge a certain shape, a certain way
no,
they were playing? I know they were pushed back completely. आठ खा लिया तो मतलब ये completely pushed back. कुछ
yeah.
दिखा आपको in terms of how they set up, in terms of who the channels are, who they are using to move in front or at the back, either ways.
Yeah, thoda bahut, I guess, in glimpses. I mean, I think the setup is a bit difficult to figure out, or today was very much so. I think they are attempting to play through the middle quite a bit. Also, a sense of like, I think वो टेम्पो वाला भी इशू थोड़ा पड़ा यार इस ग्राउंड पे ना मेन ग्राउंड पे आई डोंट थिंक ज्यादा टाइम मिला होगा तो लाइक टचेस भी सॉफ्ट लग रहे थे normal passes I think the ideas were really good they were trying to they had the confidence to move in the manner that they are trained to move that's all I can say a lot of that has to do with probably a little bit more close one touch sort of 1-2 type of movement basic stuff no doubt but I think that was the attempt when we had the ball, which we didn't have much of. And clearly there was big issues there with how much power they were putting on normal push passes because I mean in the past statistics for the first half were like India completed 50 passes in the entire half. That shows that something is not quite right, whether it's the setup or the confidence levels or whatever it might be. Against these players who are so clearly superior, you can't make those mistakes at this level.
Sharda, just before we move on to the next games, because और भी खेलना है अभी इंडिया ने आज का जो दिन था बड़ा दिन था अक्सर क्या होता है ऐसे दिन ना दे ओवरटेकन बाय पॉलिटिशियंस हमने किया है वो किया है और फिर जब 90 मिनट शुरू होता है जी फोकस आ जाता है उनपे इर्द गिर्द आपने क्या देखा व्हाट डिड यू गेज वाज इट वन ऑफ दोस काइंड ऑफ यू नो ओपनिंग्स
I watched the opening with some amusement because the chief minister of Orissa went past the lineup like he was just trying to catch a plane or a train, if one may say so, at great speed. And these girls were there set up trying to meet him. Like the captain was ready to introduce him to the players, but there was no eye contact in that sense. I like the fact that the crowd was there and the crowd was cheering, and there was this sort of sense of I didn't hear too much really bad sort of kind of chanting or anything like that. I think people were just stunned with the fact that we let in 8 goals. I thought for the first about 8 minutes we were kind of defending well, and but after the first goal it was just everything had gone. It's like the after a couple of the goals it was just very dismal. But the rest of it, I thought the crowd was good. I like the fact that there was so many women to be seen everywhere. It was a women's game, so the women were there. There were the coaches. There was everyone in the staff, other than the poor Mr. Dennerby, and the lines, the referee, the umpires, everyone. So it was a good thing to see that was there. I think it'll be a good competition to see how things go. And of course, we'll finish at the bottom of the pile. But I think it should be sort of a reminder of what you need to be and how it can be done. And in countries where the resources are much less than what you have. मैं जो hockey के stats के बारे में I was telling you, the actual paper, 18% lighter and 4% shorter than the Western players that were there. And hockey is as much of a contact sport as football is in many ways. The junior women's hockey has much less of sort of the horrific fouls that you see in the men's game. That was good, but it gives you more chance to show your skill. But today the Indians didn't get that, or they were outplayed completely. But let's see how they turn around and how things go from there. Some of the errors I thought were very, very basic, kind of very, very basic. Yeah. So defensive mistakes like that, which you can understand. That it's a situation in which it's like a runaway train and things have just gone mad. It's gone crazy. The entire situation's just gone out of your hand, and the other team is just rolling over, like just marching all over you.
250
very quickly.
Training sessions, Sharda, 250 training sessions to play against probably the best kids in their age group, or some of definitely, is just not going to do it. I mean,
training sessions is not
कहाँ से मिला आपको 250 कहाँ से मिला आपको
superb stat.
From the coach's press conference
just now.
Yeah. Prior to the start of the tournament.
Oh. 200. What is 250 training sessions outside of competitive matches of a standard and clubs and all those?
Yeah, it's not. So we also have to consider the fact.
Can I just say 250 sessions is for journalists like Siddhanth to take the bait and put it
Yeah,
out.
in a
उसका और
year.
कोई महत्व नहीं है. और कोई
You
महत्व
mean to
नहीं
say,
है उसका.
नहीं, to take the bait and say, यार we worked very hard, you know, that kind of
नहीं
thing.
नहीं, but बात हो रही है बस सिंपल, हार्ड वार्ड नहीं, but 250 की बात हो गई ना, सिंपल सी बात है. तो जो बात छोड़ी थी बाहर, जो पिचकारी सी डाली उन्होंने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस पर, वो हर जगह फैल जाएगी. ये 250 सेशन, 250 सेशन. भाई जल्दी से बिफोर वी रैप अप, आज
No,
और क्या हुआ
yeah,
और जो
so
चार
so
टीम
I was
देखने को
also
मिली.
saying मतलब एक पॉइंट पे टच करना चाहिए कि मतलब हम अच्छी बात है जैसे फीफा के काफी डेलीगेट्स आए हिंदुस्तान आ जा रहे हैं आजकल बिकॉज हमारे यहाँ काफी कुछ चल रहा है and obviously now there's a World Cup on so we'll probably see a steady trickle of people coming and going and one of the things they said was that and of course it's a FIFA tournament so FIFA will believe that it's the most prestigious sort of age group tournament that you can have, and no doubt it is. But you are still taking a group of very young and impressionable children, and you're putting a lot of pressure on them. And like you guys were rightly saying, this is a like more people are watching probably than have ever watched this kind of a tournament before in India, including you and I. So we have to remember those things and there's a duty of care. They are still children, and that should not be forgotten. I think whether they are wanting to be professional athletes or not, that happens later on in life. So yeah,
won't be forgotten, and that responsibility lies with the media also, how they cover it, how they
absolutely.
headline it, how they write it, how they see it. A large part of that responsibility lies with the media, how you talk about it, how you assess it. भाई चार टीमें और उनको देखा आपने, क्या देखने को मिला?
Yeah, just very quickly. I mean, I guess New Zealand is another country that has a strong women's football program and have done consistently well. They are co-hosts for the Senior World Cup in the summer of 2023. So Chile putting on a really fun show against them. And I think for me, that was the best game of the three today. I, of course, didn't get to watch all 90 minutes of all games. Kash, इतना होता फ्रीडम लाइफ में कि एक दिन में 90 मिनट की गेम आप देख सकें बट बीच बीच में कुछ देखा तो ब्राजील मोरक्को was very physical and I thought Morocco were amazing. I mean, like as debutants, I didn't know really what to. थोड़ा बहुत देखा था research के तौर पे, but when you see someone playing at a world stage, this kind of platform, the way they did, I thought that was superb. But the US clearly, I mean, stating their place in this entire scenario and how serious they are, I think, about just going for it all the way. So, like Sharda was saying, it's going to be a tough competition and an interesting competition as we get into the later stages, obviously. I think we'll focus on covering how India does, and as a result, because we have Brazil and the US in the same group, we get to talk quite a bit about those matches as well. And I think those two teams are definite contenders as far as what we've seen. Of course, some of the Asian teams now we want to see and see how they go.
Sorted. Sharda, thank you so much for joining us. Aney, thank you so much for joining us. आज आपको थोड़ा खट्टा लगा होगा, भाई क्या करें, जब 8 खाएं तो असलियत तो वो है, थोड़ा खट्टा लगा हो, लेकिन जाते जाते कुछ मीठा बता दूं, मेरे साइड में ही टेबल है भाई साहब, 4 शाही टुकड़े आ चुके हैं और 5वें का ऑर्डर जा चुका है. ओ हो, और उसको शाही टुकड़ा नहीं बोलते, उसको डबल का पेठा बोलते हैं यहाँ पे, डबल का मीठा. डबल का मीठा. हम कुछ मीठे के साथ आपको छोड़ रहे हैं, लेकिन जैसे हमारे भाई ने वहाँ पे बोला, वी विल बी कवरिंग इंडिया इन अ बिग वे. सो इंडिया सेकंड गेम, post match we'll again, of course, all of us will come together and we will talk about that. Hopefully we get to see a bit of improvement, and even if there's no improvement there, just to enjoy the fact that your country, that blue, is participating in a World Cup, and these girls are getting a chance of a lifetime. Thank you so much.
And the results will get better. I'm 100% sure that the next two games will be a better showing, and the results will also reflect that.
अगर नहीं हुए
तो यार अब क्या ही दे दोगे.
8-0 तो नहीं
ठीक है
होगा,
जी,
that I'm saying
नहीं
confidently.
हो
ब्राजील के सामने भी नहीं होगा 8-0.
देखते हैं जी, मैं चुप रहूंगा क्योंकि मेरे को जिप लाइनिंग के लिए जाना है। हाँ, आ रहा हूँ मैं, आ रहा हूँ। ठीक है जी,
Okay.
थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग एवरीवन, दिस वाज अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ 420 ग्राम्स, थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग, we'll see you again after the next interview, bye bye.